Okay, so this is a brief video to go over the emotion of shame because I know that this is something that many of us have had to really learn how to heal, and I want to talk about it a little bit. So this isn't going to be a long video, just something brief. If we look at the emotional frequency chart from David Hawkins on emotional frequencies, we'll see that shame is really at the bottom. It's below grief. It's one of the lowest emotions that we could potentially hold within our energetic field, within our hologram. Within our heart, we usually will hold it in the body in the throat, the chest, or the solar plexus. So your solar plexus is like your solar system, okay? So if your solar system is off, you're gonna have digestive system imbalances. Your heart chakra, this is playing a role on your immune system, your circulation in your throat, plays a role in the thyroid, and your communication with other people, and a major sense of belonging and community are tied to this energy of shame. So we have to remember that when we are living in the emotion of shame, it really expands our shadow. It grows our shadow. It makes the shadow very large and in charge and loud. Okay, so it's really tied to the ego. So if we're going into our ego and our shadow, we have to understand that this is about survival. So shame is really tied to this basic instinct of needing connection and community with others. And what usually happens is that it reminds me a lot of the prostitute archetype, okay? So we all hold a number of different archetypal patterns. All of us hold somewhere within us the prostitute archetype. Okay, so there was a time, if you're dealing with a lot of shame, that you were potentially sold and violated. And this would be by somebody, more likely a lot of times, that you trusted or that you've allowed in some capacities. Now, we can be shamed by being brought into situations that we didn't choose necessarily in this life, as if somebody was kidnapped and forced into, sex trafficking. But for the majority of us, it's the people that we choose to be around. So if we feel sold, if we get sold in any capacity, our true essence gets suppressed and we are violated, what tends to happen is an overwhelming amount of shame. If we speak up, if we speak our truth and our tribe or community doesn't hear us or receive us, we can feel shamed. Shame is the complete opposite of peace, enlightenment, and joy. So we see a lot of very high vibrational individuals that carry these high frequencies of peace and joy and happiness, just as is, be shamed by people that can't hold that or that struggle to hold that capacity. So we tend to almost give ourselves away, our peace and joy, a lot of times, and then we begin to feel a sense of self-hatred for ourselves because of it. It's like this really backwards transaction that happens. So although there is a sense of us being sold, although there was a situation to where, we were put down for being who we are, what ends up happening is we believe, our shadow leads us to believe that we're unworthy. A lot of times with shame, we begin to dampen our sense of self-esteem and regard for self, and we begin to feel that we're unlovable. We begin to feel that we're bad, okay? So I remember growing up, on my maternal side of the family, they always would call me the troublemaker, right? The truth seeker that would call this out, or the Catholic Church or white racist people. I'm a troublemaker, right? So although I knew that was truth, I began to psychologically begin to form this concept that I'm bad. And this carried on into my adulthood. Me speaking up on the truth and it not being received, or me speaking up on the truth and being almost in a way punished or ignored by people that I love and care about, had left me with an overwhelming amount of shame, as if I shouldn't speak up on the truth, as if my voice doesn't really matter. And that led me to having a very low self-esteem and feeling unlovable. If we carry a lot of shame, it will be one of the most toxic emotions to affect your health and your mental health. So a lot of times, if we're dealing with a lot of shame that's unresolved, it'll lead to really toxic attachment styles. So you'll find that although you don't want to attract friendships, relationships with people that are really mirroring the old toxic, patterns of people that have done this to you or caused the shame to you, what you'll do if this is unresolved is you'll attract more relationships that are tied to trauma bonding than being healthy and uplifting. So your self-esteem is something you're going to want to work on if you are healing from shame. You've got to find this place of love for yourself and know that everybody is trying in this matrix. We're all here trying to do our best. We're all, truly, a lot of people say we're not all created equal, but it's like you want to look at yourself on this equal playing ground and feel a sense of, I don't need to change anything about me. I am worthy of manifesting my desires. I am worthy of grace. You have to remember, grace never leaves you. Grace is God. Grace is always within you. And that's really what you need to help yourself out of feeling disgraced. Because when you're shamed, you're disgraced. And a lot of times, if you grew up in a very religious home or were in religious communities, shame and religion go hand in hand, okay? If you don't do this, then you are bad. You're a sinner. You're gonna burn in hell. And in certain religions, it gets that deep. They're that dark. To believe that, and they follow a God that will do that. You don't follow me, you're gonna burn in the pits of hell. That is very scary to live by. People live by that and they believe it, and they end up shaming a lot of people and disgracing themselves. Humiliation is also tied to shame. Okay, so remember, if we're trying to heal something, we don't heal from not remembering events and traumas. We heal from remembering and rewriting the story. We see it from a higher consciousness and rewrite the way that we once had saw, or the narrative that we once gave to that trauma. So if we look at humiliation, look at it maybe as if it was an initiation for you. Humiliation is an initiation tactic from the dark side. Spirit allows it because it is a teacher for you. If you can be humiliated, you can get through anything. It's funny because when I look at all the times I've felt humiliated, embarrassed, because I'm a sensitive, I'm ESP, a lot of times we do feel very ashamed and embarrassed often. I've looked at the times that I was humiliated and say, I was initiated on the fast track to the next level of I don't give up anymore. And I'm more confident now because of that. It doesn't get much worse than being humiliated. So usually from that pit, you rise up. So we're looking from a different perspective at these situations that have happened to us so that we can rewrite the story, we can forgive, we can release, and we can let go and move on. You have to find and restore your power by what you can do in the present moment. Shame is your shadow that will keep you in the past. Shame is the shadow that will keep you with your head down. I don't know if you can see this. Whenever we think of the emotion of shame, it's usually you're hidden. You don't want to be seen. You feel bad. You feel unworthy of love. You don't want your true essence to show. Remember, at that frequency chart, it's at the lowest frequency because you vibe high. If you're watching this video, you vibe high naturally. You have to allow that vibe to flow. You've got to get out of this lower frequency of it being robbed from you, that joy, and bringing you down. It's time for you to rise up by understanding now in this second that you're worthy of success, you're worthy of healthy relationships, you're worthy of money, you're worthy of love, you're worthy of having your desires met, and you're worthy of you speaking your truth right now. And that's how you can really tap into your power right now. After we've quantum leaped and closed the doors of the past trauma, we can be present and say, in this moment, how can I tap into my power right now? And what choice can I make to empower myself, to give myself love, to feel confident in what I'm doing, to trust who I am? We have to understand guilt versus shame. Guilt, we tend to judge ourselves. And this leaves us with an overwhelming sense of regret and remorse. Oh my God, I hurt this person. Oh my God, I did this. Oh my God. And if you have a lot of shame, I'm a bad person. I just keep saying the truth and it hurts people. Let me say this again, because this is what's usually happening to these very high vibrational individuals. You're saying the truth and people are getting offended. And because this is unresolved within you, you're turning this on that it's bad for you to speak up. It's not. It's that people around you cannot receive the truth. Now, I know for me with this, my dark side can be very mean. But when I really look into my shadow work, I'm saying the truth to people in a mean way. So that is where I work on it myself. And I also realized that I was putting myself in situations with individuals to where you have to be brought to that point. You know, anger can be justifiable at sometimes. It can be. And if people that you're working with are not walking in truth, you're going to get angry and you're going to say the truth. And it may come off mean. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't mean you shouldn't speak up. So we really have to get our power back and realize in these moments the truth. So you can get into your higher self and see from a higher place the situation at whole and really where you stand and really where you have chosen to come into this life and go through these events to alchemize situations. So we want to release guilt. Okay, don't feel guilty for being you. That's something you're going to have to work through with your shadow work, because if you have a lot of shame. Now, shame is different though. Shame is feeling that we are entirety wrong, unworthy, or damaged beyond repair. So it leads to a lot of self-rejection. Why? Because that's not the truth. The truth is there's always a potential for healing. There's always the option for balance. There's always a path towards harmony, putting the pieces back together, wholeness. So we want to tackle our shadow of lie and ego, saying that, we're never going to have that connection. We're never going to have, that yearning for community. It will happen, but you have to understand and allow yourself to be put back together. You have to do the soul fragmentation work, and you have to defeat that lie that you're damaged beyond repair. Watch stories of people that have been through even deeper traumas than you. People that have been escaping from war and torture. People that have been paralyzed, and they can walk again, or they've left the war and they find peace again. And, so it's like, there is always hope. There's always hope. And there's that grace, remember, is always within your heart. You have to know that you're a divine being, that you are God. You're a fragment of God, and you have power within you to change things right now. And you have the power to love yourself right now. So if we're dealing with shame, we have to find in the moment self-love and acceptance. What happens if you have a lot of shame is you reject yourself and you put yourself down. A lot of times people that have been very shamed are people pleasers. They will just say or do whatever because it fits in, or because they so longingly need this sense of acceptance from other people. You have to stop that. You have to understand that it's shame leading your shadow. When we do things that aren't accepted by our tribe or community, and we are rejected, or shamed, or humiliated, we're put down, we're told that it's wrong, it leaves us with deposits in our throat, I call it. If you've ever done energy healing with me, it's like, it leaves this deposit of low self-esteem, and you begin to not speak up. You begin to shrivel your energy. So if we look at the frequency chart, it's a very constricted energy of shame. It keeps you low. It's not expansive. It's not your truth. It's not confident. It's very low. And so when we're like this with shame, we tend to block all of the blessings, block all the financial opportunities, block all the love. So we really have to open your chest up. You have to open your heart up. You have to open your throat up. You have to let your sunshine flow from your solar, okay? And you have to know really who you are and find it if you don't know. Find the good in you. Find you as a good being, good. Get out of the duality, good and bad. Know that you're here with a purpose, and that what you like and what you love is good. And I think there's a next part I'm going to put here, is that you really have to ditch the people that are really tied to religious mindsets. You have to ditch narrow-minded people and condemning people. And so I'll say it like this. In this day, you do not want to be around religious people because they don't get it. And at this point, it's kind of clear, let's be real, a lot of these religions are mental illnesses. And they have the right of way in society. So it's like, how do the rich people, the people that exploit people have all this consistent money? It's like, well, and they call it in Hollywood, you pray to Lucifer, you're gonna have fame, right? You pray to Lucifer, you're gonna have money. So the church is very similar. They pray to certain gods and they have the miracles and they believe that it's just. It's not. It's not. You have to have the utmost discernment with who you are keeping around you if you are trying to heal from shame. Being vulnerable isn't a bad thing, but when we're around other healthy people and we're out of those unhealthy attachment style trauma bond relationships, you no longer need to hide who you are because you're fully accepted by people around you that embrace you, that celebrate you, that congratulate you. They don't hate on you. A lot of light workers and empaths, we get hated on. People hate us for being happy, for being high vibrational, for our aura, for our freedom, our liberation. They can't stand it. So you have to understand who you are, and that is an attack on your spirit that you should not allow to happen. Healthy boundaries is something you must begin to establish again if you've been crippled by shame in your life. Shame, if we're dealing with it unresolved, it leads to a lot of psychological disorders, depression, anxiety, codependency. I mean, people that have been shamed, they have to continually stay in the group text. They have to have somebody validate them. They have to be involved with somebody to have their emotional satisfaction. So they need others for a sense of approval, for a sense of self. We don't want to be in that energy anymore. If we're healing from shame, we need to become more independent. So going back to the moment, getting more centered, tapping into your power in this moment. Finding a sense of self for you, from you. So when there's the sadness, the anxiety, we're not in our power, we hide and we find really other toxic trauma bonds and attachments to resonate with us. So getting out, we see ourselves as a divine being. We believe that we can have all that we desire right now as is. This is a big one for people that are really feeling shamed. They feel like they gotta do this healing, and they gotta see the therapist, and they gotta go do the shadow work, and they gotta go do the cleansing and the rituals and the retreats, and they gotta do this, that, and the other, and before they can get their miracle, before they can get their breakthrough, or before they can feel grace and peace and self-love for self in the moment. No, dear one, you can feel it in this moment. You can go into your heart space and feel it right now. I am worthy. I am worthy of having everything that I need fall into my lap. I am worthy to have the clarity. I tap into the grace within my heart. I love myself right now, how I am, who I am. Many scriptures, sacred scriptures will say you can come to God how you are, because you are God. You tap into the God I am within me. You tap into the grace within me, within you. And that's how we feel the true presence of a Savior. So we're getting rid of the people that are causing harm through false manipulative projections. You may need to seek therapy. You may do shadow work. I recommend shadow work to help you to get through healing shame, because it's your shadow that's going to be very, very loud and guiding you if you are crippled by shame. Focus on the present moment and be excited about your future. We want to get out of the past. We want to quantum close those doors. We want to heal the trauma, and we don't want that trauma to define us. The abuse that I faced in my life, I don't call myself a victim. I'm not. I chose to go through different abuses in my life, violations in my life. I chose that before I came here, and I own it. And it's helped me to be who I am today. It's taught me who I am today. It's shown me what paths of philanthropy I need to get involved in, and other women and children, and help, because of I know what I've been through. So you use it as a fire, and that's your real alchemy. That's how you really tap into your power and you overcome your shadow. You fight the dark that's trying to cripple you and keep you small. You can write a letter to yourself that is rooted in self-esteem, confidence, self-worth, and self-love. I always like to call it like marrying yourself, vowing to yourself. Okay? Write down everything you love about you. Write down things that you're excited about for yourself. Write down the things that you're hopeful for, the things that you want to develop more, your things that you're proud of about yourself. And you say, Jojo, I'm not really proud of anything I've done. Well, then we need to get you with either probably a mentor. You could work with me, it's like get it there, but you need to get someone that may be able to help lift you. So, because there are places of shame that are very, very, very low for people, that they've almost completely lost themselves. They've almost completely given up their true identity. So sometimes we all need a hand to get out of that. So seek help if you need it, because shame is like I said, it's crippling. It'll lead to the cancers. It'll lead to mental health instability. It really is, it breaks people. But we don't want to hold on to the identity of I am broken and unfixable, because you are not. You are fixable. You are able to put the pieces back together. This is what this whole life is about. This classroom of earth, we are here to put us back together, to feel congruency, to feel centered. So this is the journey. And I want you to see hope in that message. See the truth of the situation. I want you to affirm, I dispel all fear. I dispel all shame, and I dispel all doubt from my being in the name of light and love. I want you to say it again. Say it with me out loud. I dispel all fear, all shame, and all doubt from my being in the name of light and love. You can say it one more time. I dispel all fear. I dispel all doubt and all shame from my being. I do not claim that as me. In the name of light and love. So I want you to see the truth today, dear one. And I want you to find love for yourself. I want you to get into your heart and feel peace with who you are, how you are in this moment. Then I want you to build momentum from that space. Hold it. Keep it. And know that you are love, and that you are worthy of love, and that love never leaves you, grace never leaves you. You just need to know where to find it, and it's right in your heart. It's within your being. Thank you.